Hello, today I want to teach you to be faithful and prosper. If you're a returning viewer, you know I teach biblical prosperity with integrity. If you're not, just keep listening and you will hear something different, something that will help your journey into biblical prosperity. Let me talk to you about the practical side of prosperity. The master said to his faithful servant, "Good job. You're a good and faithful servant. You proved that you could be trusted with a small amount. Now I'm going to put you in charge of a large amount." This is how prosperity works. Prosperity is based upon faithfulness and capacity. If you faithfully make good use of the master's money, which he gives to you, he will promote you to greater responsibility. You say, "But I make my own money." To that I reply, whose world did you work in? Whose air did you breathe? Whose strength did you use? Of course God gave it to you. My objective is to make you a faithful steward for God. So, how can I be a faithful steward? Now remember, a steward is like a supervisor. It means you take care of someone else's resources. Now, you can be a faithful steward by keeping three principles in mind. The first one is God gives you resources to steward or supervise according to your capacity. You see, everything belongs to God. The Bible says the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. Everything belongs to God, even us. "The silver is mine, the gold is mine," saith the Lord. You know, God seems to translate stewardship and transfer stewardship, but not ownership. God expects us to be profitable for his kingdom and his purposes, but they must be kept in mind. That's why Satan wants Christians to be broke, because we are God's stewards. We are the ones taking care of business for God. Now, we must be faithful and we must be diligent and we must be profitable. We must be profitable stewards. What we are doing must grow. It must increase. It must improve. And when we are done, we must pass our stewardship on to faithful people. That's why it's important to have your eyes open for faithful people. You don't want to get caught at the end of your life with God's wealth or God's resources and nobody to pass it to. And you know, some people, they just pass whatever they have on to their kids. But many times their kids are not faithful. You know, you're not obligated to leave any of your possessions to people whose lifestyle you don't agree with. You know, the question we must ask ourselves is, am I stewarding well? You know, he gives you his resources in order for you to prove your capacity. Remember, the Lord said, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord." That's how you prove your capacity. God starts you out with a few things. The Bible says, though your beginning was small, your latter end should greatly increase. That's why we are told not to despise the day of small things. You know, if you want more, do more with what you have. Jesus, after feeding the 5,000, said, take up the fragments. In other words, don't waste anything. That's stewardship. I would have said, well, we've done good here. You know, we fed 5,000 people, not counting women and children, off of 5 barley loaves of bread and 2 small fishes. We've done good. Don't worry about it. But Jesus said, no, take up the fragments. You know, God holds us responsible for the resources he gives us. God is watching our engagement and making adjustments accordingly. The Bible says that not many days after the prodigal son gathered together, you know, all of his wealth and stuff, he took a journey into a far country and there wasted his substance with riotous living. And the Bible says when he had spent everything, there arose a mighty famine in that land. I wonder where that came from. And he began to be in want. And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country who sent him into his fields to feed swine. Now, you know Jews hate swine. And he would have filled his belly with the husk that the swine did eat, but no man would give it to him. They were watching it, you know. You know, the younger son, or the prodigal son, lost all of his inheritance because he was not a good steward. He began to be in poverty and want. You know, we prove what we would do with more by what we do with what we have. You know, Jesus said a rich man had a business manager, and that manager was accused of wasting the rich man's resources. The rich man called the manager and said to him, "What is this that I hear about you? Let me examine your books. It's obvious that you can't manage my property any longer." See, waste and mishandling causes God to fire us. We cannot consistently be unfaithful. When the day of his reckoning comes, we'll experience gain or loss. When his day of reckoning comes, you will experience gain or loss. Sorry about that. You will experience commendation or condemnation. God rewards those who handle his resources well. Remember, his Lord said unto him, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many." Don't worry if it seems small. God tests us with small things to see if we're promotable. God is a rewarder. The Bible says, but without faith, it's impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he's a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Sometimes employers will look over you when you feel it's time for a promotion. One thing is for sure with God, he will make sure you reap in due season. All you have to do is remain faithful until due season. That's a promise. You don't even have to be concerned about being overlooked. Not even a bird falls from the sky without God noticing. God rewards your faithfulness. And I believe it's minimum double his reward. Minimum double. And the Bible also talks about the reward of the 100-fold return. And it also talks about the reward of 1,000 times more. He will keep promoting you accordingly. The question you need to ask is, what level of faithfulness do I need to exhibit to be promoted to the next level. That's enough for today. Thank you for watching. And as you well know, I can't, tell everything in one video. So listen to my other videos. Build your faith. Until next time, remember, it's a sin not to win.